Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In One Piece chapter 1084, we were introduced to many surprising events about One Piece's history, and this has made us fans curious about what is gonna happen next in these several chapters. So in today's video, we're gonna talk about our expectations for the next several chapters of One Piece. We're also gonna talk about the possible confrontations that will happen now in the work, and about an even larger confrontation that we've all been waiting for. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it keeps motivating us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, in chapter 1084 of One Piece, during a flashback told by Sabo, we saw that King Cobra Nefertari, the ruler of Alabasta, made a courageous decision to confront the powerful Gorosei and is seeking answers about the whereabouts and history of his beloved ancestor Lily. Now Lily was the ruler of the Alabasta Kingdom right about the time where the end of the Void Century happened and the formation of the world government occurred. Now this was a woman destined to become a world noble, but instead she chose to turn down that prestigious position and then mysteriously disappeared without a trace, leaving a great mystery about her whereabouts. Moved by the anguish of not knowing about this ancestor, King Cobra entered the imposing headquarters of the Gorosei, the supreme leaders of the world of One Piece. And with his unshakable determination, he dared to question about the location and history of Queen Lily, as he's seeking to unravel the secrets and intrigues around her absence and disappearance. As the tense dialogue unfolds, there's an air of tension permeating the environment, with the Gorosei showing signs of discomfort and King Cobra's questions. And then comes the mention of the enigmatic surname D that brings an even deeper mystery to the discussion. It seems that the King of Alabasta has crucial information related to this enigmatic name, piquing the curiosity and nerves of these supreme leaders, causing even greater tension between them. At the climax of this scene, a moment of impact comes when Im-sama, an enigmatic and powerful figure, enters the room and walks up towards the empty throne. Their presence radiates authority and mystery, and the action to sit on the throne without hesitation leaves King Cobra and even the Gorosei stunned by their sudden appearance. The most startling revelation comes when Im-sama utters Queen Lily's name, revealing that they know possibly what happened to her. And this revelation causes a wave of shock and speculation about Im-sama's true identity, her relationship with the Gorosei, and her possible involvement in Lily's disappearance. Now, although we in the fandom desperately want to know the outcome of this flashback, it's more likely that Oda is going to decide to leave these important events to focus on the Straw Hats, who are currently experiencing a really difficult time on Egghead Island. In chapter 1085 of One Piece, the plot takes us back to the setting in Egghead, where the Marines, led by Admiral Kizaru and the Gorosei Saturn, are approaching for a great battle against the Straw Hats and anyone else left in Vegapunk's laboratories. Now, while many of us fans have really high hopes of the flashback involving Sabo, Im-sama, and Queen Lily of Alabasta to continue the direction of the chapter, it's more likely going to get bumped because this is going to allow Oda to connect an event in the present with an event in the past which Sabo is narrating, creating a much bigger impact overall on the narrative. The story returned to a point in conflict on Egghead, which promises to be a showdown of epic proportions, and the Navy, with its powerful forces and advanced strategies, are looking to quell the threat posed by the Straw Hats, because the Straw Hats have been making significant impact all around the Grand Line as they're getting ever closer to their goal of reaching the One Piece. However, the scope and significance of this confrontation may go beyond anything that we initially expected. Even Shanks, the renowned member of the Four Emperors, and his crew were able to sense Luffy's presence, and this is despite being on a completely different island. Although it's close, we know they're on the island of Elbaf, known to be inhabited by giant warriors. You see, Shanks is where he had just defeated Kid and his crew with that singular powerful attack. But yet this ability of Shanks to perceive Luffy's proximity will indicate the magnitude of the power emitted by the Marines and the pirates that are going to be participating in this battle on Egghead Island. Knowing how close Luffy is to them is going to arouse some great interest among the red-haired pirates, who ultimately are looking forward to being reunited with their friend and his crew, because as we know, the bonds between Shanks and Luffy are deep and powerful, besides the fact that they have a great promise between the two of them. If we consider the possible participation of the red-haired pirates in this battle, that's going to make it all the more exciting, because they are considered some of the most powerful figures in the world of pirates, which would make this confrontation even bigger should the red-haired pirates decide to show up and participate. This is most likely going to be counterposed with that flashback involving Sabo, Sabo, Im-sama, and Queen Lily of Alabasta, because this promises to reveal some very important secrets. And this will only be for future chapters when Oda concludes with what he wants in this great battle that's very close to happening on Egghead. Knowing what we are about to learn is going to increase the expectation of fans, and this shift in focus keeps the narrative pace fast, creating multiple points of tension and mystery throughout our story, creating multiple important events happening at the same time. And even though many of us might want to see Oda stick to one story, we may be at a point in One Piece where Oda just can't focus on one thread because there are so many different storylines and threads all coming together and to a head in what is going to shake this world and reorganize it in some new image. And if you think about it, this is already something that's happened a few times since we've come to the Egghead Island arc. We saw that the Straw Hats met Vegapunk. We then saw a confrontation between the Straw Hats and CP0. We saw the rescue of Kuma by the Revolutionaries. And we even saw different scenarios with the Heart Pirates and the Blackbeard Pirates, Kid and the Red-Haired Pirates, Garp and his sword sailors going to Pirate Island and facing off against other members of Blackbeard's crew to rescue Kobe. And now we're going back in a flashback to the Revelry and what happened on Mary Joie through Sabo. So at this point, we have so many critical events in our story of One Piece that are happening at the same time. Oda is gonna have to switch between these important events. And it's only gonna be through those switches that we'll be able to clearly draw lines between all of these core pieces of the story to get that final big confrontation and resolution to the One Piece story as a whole. We also may see multiple events happen in a very short amount of time. I mean, just think about the fact that on Egghead, this is maybe a week, not even 2 weeks since the Revelry happened. So all of this is taking place in really real time, even though we're reading it weekly, in a very short amount of time in world. And because the story is constantly changing and evolve, we need to understand the narrative from each point of view and each confrontation until all of these threads of the story come together to a singular point. And this would be known as the collision point, where the biggest battle of all is gonna take place and ultimately decide the fate of our story. So getting back to Shanks and Luffy for just a second, there is a pretty good possibility that this meeting between Shanks and Luffy could happen on Egghead, because if Shanks shows up or senses something happening to Luffy, it's only natural that he'd be motivated to reconnect with his friend and protege. If we also add on the fact of Shanks' renewed interest in finding the One Piece treasure, this is going to add an additional layer of complexity to the situation. This hidden treasure is believed to be related to the legendary Joy Boy figure and Luffy, who had recently awakened the power of his Devil Fruit, and Luffy may actually be the key to somehow unlocking or gaining access to this treasure. So following this logical thought, Shanks may be interested in the power associated with the sun god Nika. The sun god ultimately is a mythological figure with a possible connection to the One Piece treasure itself and its relationship with the Grand Line. So Shanks, being a very cunning and intelligent pirate with a deep knowledge of the world's secrets, he may be looking to obtain this treasure for another as yet unknown purpose. Now, there are many different ideas that have been discussed across the One Piece community about Shanks possibly using Luffy in some way to achieve a goal, and this really can't be ruled out because as Luffy's mentor and trusted figure, Shanks may have had some ambitious plans in mind, and he's just simply using his protege to advance towards the treasure and unravel the mysteries that surround it. Just consider the fact that Shanks went out of his way to steal that fruit from a government-controlled ship. So we at least gotta acknowledge the fact that initially Shanks had some big plans to use that Nika Nika fruit to look for the One Piece. However, when we had that unexpected oversight change the course of our story and Luffy ended up with the fruit, this might have made Shanks have to completely change his plans, or at least delay them for a certain amount of time. At one point, Shanks might have actually imagined using the fruit's power to reach the treasure. However, when he saw Luffy eat the fruit and not really wanting to waste that potential, he might have thought that this was just part of the plan working its way out. So for now, Shanks has patiently waited for the moment when the young pirate would awaken the powers of that Nika Nika no Mi, and he knew that Luffy would be a valuable tool in finding the One Piece. So even if his motivations were a little bit different than his own, Shanks may still be waiting and now poised to make make use of Luffy's newfound powers. For Luffy's part, because he had this promise with Shanks to become a great pirate, Luffy has constantly managed to perfect his skills, to the point where he has been able to fully awaken his fruit's power, possibly the first awakening of this fruit in 800 years. So with that main step completed, Shanks may now go after the One Piece treasure, and then after Luffy, so he can use Nika's powers for that unknown purpose. So in these next chapters, we can expect some extremely important and interesting events in the story of One Piece to come to fruition. And it could even be laying the groundwork for that ultimately great conflict that will shape and shake the world to its core and make a world new for the whole One Piece community. So with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. First of all, what do you think Shanks' goal is for Luffy? Do you think it's a positive thing where he really is a mentor? Or do you think he's just been kind of biding his time and looking to make Luffy do something for him when it comes time to get the treasure? Secondly, what do you think it would take to make Shanks and the rest of the red-haired pirates actually go to Egghead Island? Do you think they might feel the presence of a Gorosei or something else happening? What might bring them there? And finally, where do you think all of these different story threads will come together? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video today, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure to comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I can't wait to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.